to the presentation. As you can see, the title is To Milk or Not to Milk? That is the question. We'll go to the next slide, actually. Yeah, thank you. So, the first slide that you see there, pretty heavy picture really for devotees. But I think it is important for us to understand the challenge that we are facing, and that we don't make a mistake about this challenge, because it is a very strong one that is coming from the vegan movement. One of the reasons it's so strong is because their argument is essentially exactly our argument in relation to people becoming vegetarian, that we have no right to inflict punishment and cruelty and death on sentient beings. We have no right to do that, and that's their argument. So as long as commercial milk, and we're using commercial milk, we're in a vulnerable position to the vegan movement. And I just thought also, the picture you see, dairy takes babies from their mothers, which it does in the commercial milk industry, and dare we take babies from their mothers as a result of consuming commercial milk and inflict that pain and suffering on both the mother and the baby. Okay, next one please. I thought I would put in some ameliorating pictures in between the not so nice ones, so that we can see how beautiful our mother cow is. Beautiful, beautiful picture. Next one please. Back to a not so nice one, and again, so that we don't make a mistake about how strong this challenge is. I'm a male calf born into the dairy industry. This man is going to kill me with a hammer because I cannot produce milk. Please remember me the next time you want some ice cream, some cheese, some milk, some yogurt, or some chocolate. I know none of you take chocolate, but ice cream, cheese, milk, yogurt, etc. If we're using commercial milk to produce that, then this is what's happening when a male calf is born. Or also, it's also happening to the older cows once their yield of milk starts to decrease. They're surplus to supplies as far as the commercial industry is concerned, and they are killed. Our mother cow is being killed. Next slide, please. Again, just to put another nice picture in. Again, beautiful, beautiful pictures. Thank you. Next one. So, are we facing an existential crisis in the Hare Krishna movement? There is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who we worship every day in the temple, chanting japa, etc. And what is he doing? He's milking a cow. I think we better tell him, stop Krishna, stop milking and become a vegan. Is that what we should do? Next slide, please. But what if Krishna is not for turning, not for changing? Is our only option to become vegan? I don't know if any of you who have children have ever experienced this. I remember with my youngest son, I was actually there when he realized that his mother had another name than Mum. And he was like confused. He must have been about 2, I think, something. And he realized that other people were calling his mother by a different name. And it's kind of like that. How long, some of us have been in the Hare Krishna movement 40 years or whatever, and suddenly now, it's like, we should become vegan. Yet Krishna, the God that we worship, is a cowherd boy. A little bit of a dichotomy. Next slide, please. Surely the best is to do what Srila Prabhupada always wanted us to do. So in other words, that we don't support the commercial dairy industry, and we don't ask Krishna to become a vegan, but we actually do what Prabhupada always wanted us to do, and that was to create self-sustaining ahimsa farms. Next one, please. So equally, the challenge that the vegans posed to us with their presentation. Also, we have another challenge if we want to do that, how best to do it. And if you take into consideration our progress over 50 years has actually been, you know, if you're in school and the teacher gives you your report card at the end of term, it's the kind of report card that you don't want your parents to see. You know? It's worse than can do better, probably. Next one, you can actually go 2 here, just go 2. You can go to the next one. So here's some key advice from Srila Prabhupada. And the first section of this key advice is simple living. I think in order to be successful in anything, generally speaking, it's really good if we know what we have to do to become successful. If we actually have no idea what we have to do and what's entailed and what's involved, much less likely that we're going to be successful in the endeavor. So the first one here, let's go back now. The first one is 1968. Prabhupada talking about New Vrindavan. The New Vrindavan idea is that persons who live there will accept the bare necessities of life. So we all know the famous phrase, simple living, high thinking. So part of that is accepting the bare necessities of life. Next one. At present, I'm living in New Vrindavan. It's a very nice place, but there is no facility of modern amenities. It's completely aloof from city life, and we have to adopt so many things. In comparison to city life, it is very inconvenient. And I'm sure, is there anybody in the room today who doesn't have a mobile phone? These are the challenges we face in terms of being really successful with our rural communities. Next one, please. To develop a farm community such as the one you are doing, it requires much hard work and endurance. I don't know if any of you have come from a farming background, but yeah, it's hard work, it's hard physical labor. So again, something that we need to be prepared for. Next one, please. However, now we go to the second part. Simple living solves our economic problem, and our economic problems that we have as individuals, as an organization, but also collectively as a society. And, you know, maybe I shouldn't mention the B word, but I am going to mention the B word. It's really interesting. Whatever about what you think of it, if it goes ahead, then I think the UK and the people of the UK are really going to experience something they've never experienced before, and that is how fragile the current structures are for getting food on their table. I don't know, ever since I was a little boy, going into the likes of Tesco and these places, they're just abundant with food. The only problem you have is you need to make sure you have enough money in your pocket to purchase, but the shelves are always overloaded. Everything's there, the variety is enormous. But this Brexit thing could well destabilize that whole supply chain of food. And from that point of view, it would be very, very educational. But in terms of solving our economic problems, what Prabhupada says is, better to live there without modern amenities. To live a natural, healthy life, executing Krishna consciousness. It may be an ideal village where the residents will have plain living and high thinking. For plain living, we must have sufficient land for raising crops and pasturing grounds for the cows. If there is sufficient grains and production of milk, then the whole economic problem is solved. I remember some years ago there were concerns about the Y2K thing. So it's a similar thing, and who knows what will happen with this Brexit thing. But ultimately, regardless of what those external, whether they appear or don't appear, those difficulties, it makes so much sense that we are in control of our food supply. And Prabhupada is saying all those economic problems are solved with sufficient grains and milk. Next slide, please. Now this is also something that I think we have to be fully aware of and take on board if we want to be successful. That we cannot live on milk alone. In fact, we're not not really meant to take that much milk at all. We probably all overdo it on milk products. At our Pennsylvania farm, the biggest problem of life is solved: food. Next one. The whole idea of Bhavan is that men who are living there should produce their own food, of which milk is the principle. So Prabhu is acknowledging it's important food, but it's not the whole picture. Next one. Protect cows, grow crops, and if possible, provide fresh milk and butter for the temple. So this is actually now almost juxtaposed, because here Prabhu is saying, protect cows, grow crops, and if possible, produce milk. So again, we cannot live on milk alone. Next one, please. If you actually produce some grains and vegetables, then where is the necessity for further money for maintenance? In this quote, Prabhu is not referring to milk at all. It's grains and vegetables. But the point being that we cannot live on milk alone. So ahimsa milk in and of itself is wonderful, but it's not the complete picture for us to be completely successful in this endeavor. Next one, please. The fourth part now is independence, not uber karma. And this goes back actually to the point making earlier about Brexit, that the whole system is so complex. Now this Prabhupada wrote this in 1968, and he's saying simple life, eat simple things, grains, vegetables, fruits, milk, and save your time for advancing in Krishna consciousness. Don't be implicated in the uber karma. Modern civilization is implicated in uber karma. Vast machinery, everything complicated. The government complicated, the society complicated, economic rules complicated, foreign exchange complicated. Everything has become complicated. That's 1968. Spin forward whatever it is, 45 years or whatever it is, it's become a lot more complicated. In these days, even foreign exchange and all that kind of stuff, they weren't all dependent on computers and IT. You know, no one had laptops, nobody had computers, mobile phones. And they've made things massively more complicated. So the whole idea is to extract ourselves from that complicated system. And again, not least because of shocks to that system that can come from the likes of something like Brexit. Okay, next one. And this is the last one, section, the fifth one, the missing link. We always know that phrase from the scientists, the missing link. I won't get into that right now. But the missing link, the connection between our farms and restaurants. So we have to be prepared for simple living, high thinking, and for working hard. We have to understand we can't live on milk alone. There has to be grains and vegetables produced as well on our farms. But another key point to making our farms a success, Prabhu was very clear. The farming and the opening of restaurants are correlative. They're connected. In farming, you produce enough milk and milk products, at least ghee, and the ghee is dispatched to the restaurant in the city. Next one, please. Protecting cows, gathering milk, then making ghee, then opening Hare Krishna restaurants are all good programs for grihastas, which is another thing about economy and our society being stable and productive, etc. Our grihastas have to have income. They have to. No one else is going to pay your bills, that's for sure. So they have to have income. What better way to generate your livelihood for your family and stay connected to the essential mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by distributing prasadam than running Hare Krishna restaurants? Next one, please. We have got more than 100 temples all over the world. This is 1976. Now we have more than 700. So we've got more than 100 temples all over the world, and attached to every temple we are opening farms, and in many cities, restaurants, and all of them are going on very successfully. They were in 1976 at least. Next one. From the farms, we should get sufficient foodstuffs, and these can be sent to be used at our restaurants. If we don't have restaurants, they can't be sent there. Next one. Our Krishna conscious farms, like New Vrindavan, are producing much ghee. This ghee should be distributed at a fee to the different centres. And once restaurants begin opening, the ghee will be one of their prime materials. So here's the first reference that Prabhu is making to an economic relationship between the farms and restaurants. It's not that the farms are just producing to the restaurants for free. The restaurants will actually pay for the produce that the farmers are making. Actually, just on the point of ghee, it's interesting, when we first opened our restaurants in Dublin 20 odd years ago, we would use ghee all the time in our chaunces. We can't do that anymore, because if we use ghee in our chaunces, then all of our preparations are not vegan friendly. And therefore even a straight vegetable sabji isn't vegan anymore because you've used ghee, and obviously we want to be able to provide vegan options for vegan customers. But and that's a discussion that will need to be had, more thought go into it if we were producing ahimsa ghee, because obviously there are some vegans who still wouldn't take it anyway, so that's still but at least we have the option that we could present it as ahimsa. But anyway, the connection, the economic connection, that the produce on the farms, the restaurants have the economic clout to be able to pay for them. Next one, please. And this is what that could lead to, just in case you're not familiar. This is 4:30 in the morning outside our Govinda's restaurant in central London, Soho Street, and the devotees have just started and what's happening? Our Govinda's truck from the farm, the local farm, is pulling up outside with the deliveries for that day or that week. And what are they delivering? They're delivering grains, vegetables, and ghee to our restaurants. That is the future, or we hope that is the future. Hare Krishna. Thank you all very much.
Hare Krishna.
I have a few moments for questions, if there are any questions. Anybody got any questions?
Can we do it again?
Can you do it again?
I just wondered what the progress was, because the restaurant's you've been running your restaurant in Dublin for 20 years, and is it now a better market for more people are interested in vegetarian food, and does the future look like you'll expand and have more restaurants? And
when we opened our first restaurant, actually, before we opened our first restaurant, the day that I met with the solicitor to sign the lease, because the first one we leased, to sign the lease, after I signed it, the restaurant, the building that we had just leased was only about 5 minutes away, and I drove around to it, and it was a Monday evening. Monday, in one sense, is kind of the worst day of the week, whatever. It was in autumn. It was a little later in the year than now. I think it was in October, and it was raining. And I drove around, and I parked outside. There practically wasn't a sinner on the street. It was dark. It was wet, and I looked across at the building, and I said to myself, "What the hell have I done? I just signed a 35-year lease. What have I done, Krishna?" The day we opened the door, it took us a few months. We actually opened, just as a point of information, we opened on the 1st of April. 1st of April, April Fool's Day. It was another interesting thing to do, but that's what we did. That just happened to be the way it worked. But from day one, we had people flocking in the door.
wow.
Flocking in the door. Spin forward I think about 8 years later, we had generated enough money that we could get another restaurant with the cash that we had built up. And there was an intense debate among our kind of restaurant community, if you like, in Dublin, or the devotee community in general, because they think, "You're crazy. You're going to open another restaurant? All that will happen is you'll have double the expenses, in terms of rent and overheads and all the rest of it. And half of your customer base will just shift over to the same customers, half and one half, they'll double the expenses. You're absolutely crazy. And which I probably am crazy anyway. But we went ahead and we opened the second restaurant. The first restaurant, its income continued to rise as it had been rising. There was no dip whatsoever. And the second restaurant, like the first one, had customers from the first day, and they were on an upward curve like that. So, and since then, so many other vegetarian restaurants and vegan restaurants have opened in Dublin. They're all over the place, and they all seem to be thriving and flourishing. You know, I guess at some point you reach saturation. You can't have a restaurant forever. You can't open 1 million restaurants in a population of 1 million people and just one restaurant for a person. But I think we're a long way from reaching that saturation point. I think more and more people are taking to either a vegetarian and or a vegan diet. I think it's increasing all the time. So I don't think that's something that I personally will have to worry about in my lifetime, personally.
Have you noticed there's a greater demand for vegan options? Have you had to make some difficult decisions about what you produce and how you produce it?
Well, I mentioned actually about the ghee. We won't use ghee in any chawns because then you know all your preparations, none of them are vegan anymore. Yes, there's definitely been a rise of people asking for vegan options particularly over the last 5 years, I'd say. However, the funny thing is, to answer the second part of your question, we haven't changed. Other than the ghee, other than not using ghee in chaunces, we've changed nothing. Because we always have vegan preps. You always have your rice, your dal, you have veg subsies that don't have any dairy in, etc. You know, so we actually haven't changed the menu at all, other than, as I say, we're not using ghee. But yes, we have seen an increase. Although this was interesting, somebody said to me on my way here that if we were to open a restaurant in Glasgow apparently is the vegan capital of Europe, which I wasn't aware of. So they said to me, if we were to open a restaurant here in Glasgow, it would just have to be vegan. And I doubt that personally, because but then the conversation that I had with that devotee was about people coming in, hardline vegans coming in, or not coming in because it's not exclusively vegan, or coming in and then getting on your case because you're not exclusively vegan. We have never ever experienced that once in our 20 odd years of running restaurants. We have never ever experienced that. Yes, lots of people come in and say, oh, do you have vegan options? We say, yes, this is vegan, that's vegan, this is vegan, that's vegan. And then they take that, but no one has ever made an issue with the fact that we're not exclusively vegan. So yes, it's increasing, but we really haven't had to change our menu at all. Okay, we're very short on time, so I do have to end it there, but we can talk more in a personal capacity. But the essence of this is we can't continue using commercial milk, but also we can't, as a movement at least, become vegan. It's just so counterintuitive to who we are and who Krishna is. So the solution is to produce our own hints of milk and self-sustaining farms. Let's embrace it, let's go forward, and let's do it for Srila Prabhupada as he wanted it, and make him proud of us. Thank you very much.
Hare Bol. More.